It's science again. Yep, I'm not here, but okay. But here's the deal. Okay, we're gonna do some mystery science videos because I was exploring all the mystery like Doug videos, and there's some awesome looking ones. So I got really excited. So the first one, I was thinking while I was going through this enormous pile of papers, how is paper made? So we're going to see how paper is made. I'm excited. Let me share my screen and then we can see this. All righty, here we go. So how did they turn wood into paper? Let's check it out.
Hi, it's Doug. I'm surrounded today by paper. Paper is an amazing material. You can make almost anything out of paper. You can make a paper bird. You can make a paper airplane. You can make a paper hat. Someone named Malachi has a question about where paper comes from. Let's give him a call now.
Hi, Doug.
Hi, Malachi.
I have a question for you. How do they turn wood into paper?
That's a great question.
You may or may not have heard this before. The idea that paper comes from wood? It's true. But that seems crazy. How would that even be possible? What do you think? How do you think wood gets turned into paper? Now would be a good time to pause the video and discuss.
Out of paper. You can make
All righty, so
a paper hat.
video a little bit, but we got it.
What do you think?
So here's what I'm thinking. And I don't know if you guys had the same thought. But like at first I was like, oh, they just cut like wood super thin. But then I'm like, wait, that doesn't make sense. Okay. So then I thought about it more. And I'm kind of wondering if they like grind up the wood almost to like a liquid and then maybe pour it into paper. I don't know. I'm kind of excited to see. So let's check this out.
How do you think wood gets turned into paper? Now would be a good time to pause the video and discuss.
Yeah, you guys probably have some thoughts too.
Okay, you ready? I don't know what ideas you had, but when I first heard that paper comes from wood, I thought, well, maybe they cut a piece of wood really thin or something? So maybe paper is like a really thin slice of wood? But it's not. Think about it. Paper is so flexible that you can fold it. You can crumple it even. Wood isn't very flexible at all. You definitely can't fold it or crumple it. So how is it that paper comes from wood? Well, making paper does involve cutting up wood. It turns out if you chop up any kind of woody plant into small bits, like these wooden chips here, and you mash it up really well, then boil it in water, you'll make this soupy stuff that you see here called pulp. Now, it's not a soup that tastes any good. You wouldn't want to eat it. But if you pour it out over a flat surface and then wait a few days, it dries out and all sticks together to become this. Now you can recognize it. It's a sheet of paper. Whoa, so that's how paper is made. It kind of makes you wonder, who came up with this idea to chop up wood and boil it? How did they figure this out? Well, it turns out it was discovered so long ago that we don't know exactly who discovered it or how, but we do know that it was discovered in China in ancient times, thousands of years ago. The Chinese became the world's first makers of paper, and they started trading it with people all over the world. People love paper because it has all kinds of great uses. The uses of paper that you're probably most familiar with is using it to write on or draw on. But don't forget one of the most important uses of all. Without paper, we wouldn't have these. Books. The invention of paper made it possible for there to be books. So that's hugely important. But even that's not all. People experimented with different ways of making paper, and they discovered that they could make different kinds of paper depending on how thick or thin they spread the soupy pulp out to dry. If you spread it really thin, it will make a kind of paper that looks like this. It's so thin and flexible that you could use it to, blow your nose. Sometimes we call it tissue paper. And you can probably think of other ways paper is used. We use paper to pay for things. Money is a type of paper. We use paper to play games, like these playing cards. We even use paper to do, other things. So, in summary, paper is made from wood by chopping wood up into bits, boiling it, and turning it into a soupy stuff called pulp. When the pulp gets spread thin and dries, it sticks together to form a sheet. That's all for this week's question. Thanks, Malachi, for asking it.
Okay, so that's super interesting. Okay, they make that like pulp into that soup, and then it looks like they like strain it out and it makes paper. So I'm wondering, could we make paper at home? I don't know. But then, okay, I gotta tell you, so after I was wondering about paper, then I was wondering about pencils. Now I have this cool black pencil I always kind of use. Okay, it's like a triangle. Hi, very interesting. But I was thinking like, how do they make pencils? So guess what? We're finding out. All right, so let me get this back up, share my screen again, and we're figuring out how pencils are made. Let's do it. I can't wait. There we go.
Hold on 1 second, just gotta finish writing this down. Hi, it's Doug. Okay, this is probably the biggest pencil you've ever seen, and I don't normally use a pencil this big, but I do like to use pencils instead of pens whenever I write things. Someone named Emiliano has a question about pencils. Let's give him a call now.
Hi, Doug.
Hi, Emiliano.
I have a question for you. How are pencils made?
That's a great question.
Pencils are everywhere around us today. You probably have one near you right now. But pencils haven't been around forever. Have you ever thought about this? What did people used to write with before there were pencils? Now, don't let your mind go to things like pens or crayons or markers. I'm talking about a time before any of these things were invented too. How did people used to write? Well, one way that many people used to write was with one of these. It's a large feather. It's called a quill, and people would dip that into a jar of ink. You might have heard of this before. Now, to me, it actually sounds kind of fun to write that way. And it can be. People still occasionally write with these just for fun. But why did people stop using them? Well, think about it. Can you see any problems you might run into if you use a feather and a jar of ink to write? Now would be a good time to pause the video and discuss.
Okay, I think, knowing me, okay, I'm thinking that ink could be a little messy, and sometimes I'm a little messy. So I'm thinking like it might be messy, but then I'm thinking like you must need a lot of feathers. So that, like, can you sharpen a feather? Or maybe you can only sharpen it to a certain point? I don't know. I gotta find out because this is very interesting. Wait, but what if then you write on the paper and then you like spill water on it? Does all the ink just go away? We'll find out.
Okay, you ready? Well, imagine you've got a jar of ink sitting there on your desk. You reach over to dip the feather in the ink jar and whoops, you drip some ink on the page. Or worse yet, what if you accidentally tip over the ink jar and spill it everywhere? To get around this problem, some people thought, well, instead of using a liquid like ink, why not write with something solid? For example, people had known for a long time that if you take a piece of wood and you burn it, it's what we call charcoal, it's actually pretty good at writing. Not only does charcoal not spill, it's also pretty easy to carry around. Charcoal does have some other problems though. Turns out it leaves your hands covered in black soot. And even worse, it's soft and crumbly. Even if you had gloves on when you used it, you'd still get lots of little bits of it all over your paper. Well, enter the pencil. It's funny to think of the pencil as something that had to be invented. But it did. Everything about a pencil has been carefully chosen by someone to solve some of these problems I'm telling you about. You see, you've got this solid writing material there, so unlike ink, it won't spill. But it's encased inside of a piece of wood. So unlike charcoal, when you go to write, it won't get all over your fingers. In fact, that stuff inside a pencil, it's even better than charcoal. The stuff inside it, you hear people call it lead. It's actually a material called graphite. It's similar to charcoal, but it's not as crumbly, so it doesn't leave little pieces all over your paper. We don't know for sure who invented the pencil, but whoever did it must have been really clever. I mean, think about it. Look at this picture of a bunch of unsharpened pencils. How did they get the graphite inside of the wood like that? I mean, what do? Do they carve these long pieces of wood and then drill a tiny hole through the middle? It turns out the secret is to make a sandwich. Not a sandwich you eat, but a sandwich made of wood. This person is showing how some of the first pencils were made. Instead of 2 slabs of bread, he's got 2 slabs of wood, and he's applying glue to them. Then he takes a flat piece of graphite, and he puts it in between the 2 pieces of wood. He presses the top layer on that, and now he's got a type of pencil. So that's what the first pencils looked like. A flat piece of graphite sandwiched between 2 slabs of wood. You just sharpen it with a knife. Now, pencils today look very different, but they're still made the same way. If you look closely at an unsharpened pencil, you can see they're still sandwiches of wood and graphite. Have you ever noticed how some pencils look like they have a little line through them? That's because 2 pieces of wood were glued together, and you can see where they meet. Now, today, most pencils are made by machines in factories, like this. They start with flat pieces of wood. Each piece will be made into many pencils. Saws carve grooves into each piece of wood. Then, glue is squirted into the grooves. Next, it's time to glue in the pencil graphite. Here comes in the graphite, and as it goes around, the machine drops it into the grooves on each piece of wood. Then, another piece of wood flips on top, creating the pencil sandwich. Finally, saws cut apart all the individual pencils. So, in summary, the invention of the pencil solved many of the problems with writing, like ink spilling or charcoal making a mess. That's all for this week's question. Thanks, Emiliano, for asking it.
All right, that's pretty cool. Okay. Now, pencils, give me one sec. All right, so inventing pencils, that's neat. So like the pencil I have, because it is a triangle, it must just be carved a different way. Right? Very neat. Okay. Now I always like to do this pencil trick here. Let's see if I can do it. Okay. Yeah, and it looks like the pencil's like made of rubber. Yeah, you kind of hold it at the end. And if you're good, this one's a little hard. Might be better with a thinner pencil. But it's kind of like a mind trick. Now, here's my other thought. So I was doing that, but then I was like, you guys know me, and I like to play tricks on people. Yep. So I was kind of looking at all the different Mystery Doug videos, and one of my favorite days to play tricks on people is April Fool's Day. Yep. So why do we celebrate April Fool's Day? I don't know. I just like to play tricks on people. So we're going to find out because I found a Mystery Doug science video. You ready? Okay. Let's see here. Alrighty. This is a good trick. Now, here we go. Let's find out.
Hi, it's Doug. Today we have a question about April Fool's Day from someone named Mira. Let's give her a call now.
Hi, Dog.
Hi, Mira.
I have a question for you. Why do we celebrate April Fool's Day?
That's a great question. April Fool's Day is always a day of the year you have to be a little careful. You never know. You might walk into a room and find out it's been filled with balloons. Or maybe you find your classroom has been covered in newspaper. April Fool's Day might be one of the strangest holidays there is. A holiday where people play pranks on each other. Little things that might annoy someone or make them laugh, or sometimes just confuse people. Here's one of my favorite pranks. This teacher played a prank on his students by giving them the hardest spelling quiz ever.
All right, going through the list with the spelling. You're checking your own list. Here we go. The first word was Blorski. I lost my Blorski at a carnival. B-L-O-R-S-K-E-E. The next word is Spikoo. Look, there's a Spikoo. S-P-E-E-K-U. UZSLMN. There's silent letters at the end of that one.
But then he told them the truth.
This is an April Fool's joke! Close enough. April Fools!
No one knows exactly why or when April Fool's Day started, but it's been going on a while. Every year for a long time now, newspapers tend to print at least one fake story or picture. Most people have fun trying to spot the one story or photo that's fake. But always, every April Fool's Day, there's someone who forgets what day of the year it is, and they wind up getting tricked. Like maybe someone offers you a cookie, only for you to find out it's been filled with toothpaste. Yuck. Have you ever had someone play an April Fool's prank on you? Now would be a good time to pause the video and discuss.
Nice. Well, I don't know. I play April Fool's pranks on people all the time, but I like the ones that will make people laugh. So that's what I always try to find, make people laugh or maybe confuse them a little bit. Yeah. So has anyone played an April Fool's prank on you? Maybe it was me. Yep. Well, let's see.
Since lots of April Fool's pranks are about confusing or annoying people, not everyone loves getting pranks played on them. Like, imagine you found your car covered in Post-it notes. You might find the prank funny, but other people might be upset. It can really depend on how far the prank goes. For example, one year on April Fool's Day, a television station in Boston, USA, a place that has no volcanoes, aired a fake news story claiming that a nearby hill had started to erupt lava. It was meant as a joke, but a lot of people took it seriously. They panicked and they packed their cars up and left their homes. When they later found out that it wasn't true, the news station got in big trouble. Modern technology makes it harder and harder to know what's fake. Like, take these two photographs. You've got a photo of a lion and a photo of a child. But using a computer, it's actually fairly easy to take the child out of the photo and make it look like, see, there's a child reaching out and giving a lion a hug. And it's not just photos that someone can fake using modern technology. One year, the British television channel BBC aired this video. Can you spot what's wrong with it? It shows penguins flying, but this video is not real. Animators used computer software to draw penguins, then used special effects to make it seem like a real video. They did such a good job that some people saw this video and were actually fooled. They thought someone found penguins that could fly. Will you remember not to get fooled on April Fool's Day? Here's a tip. Just always remember what day it is. If it's the beginning of April and you hear or see something that seems a little unbelievable, maybe think twice. That's all for this week's question. Thanks, Mira, for asking it.
All right, so April Fool's pranks, hi, and April Fool's Day, super fun. But you got to remember, you pull a prank, you don't want to injure anyone or wreck anything. But I have to tell you, one of my best pranks, and it actually started when I was kind of little, and there's two families. So one of us found this little pet seal. Well, it's not really a pet, but we called it a pet. But it was about this big, kind of made of looked kind of like a clay. So we decided one day to go hide it in the other family's house. Okay, so we hid it. We had to be sneaky. We hid it in the other family's house with a little note attached to the bottom. Right? Now, then we waited and waited. We had to be so patient because it took them a while to find it. Yeah. But then, okay, they actually didn't tell us when they found it. What they did was some other time when they came over to our house, they hid the seal. Yep. So we were thinking oh, maybe they didn't find it yet. This is craziness. It's been there for a while. But really, they found it and hid it in our house. Okay. Now, this kind of joke or prank started years ago, and it is still going on. And we're still using that same seal. Okay. Now, the seal looks a little worn. Okay. I think it's lost part of its tail and an ear. Yeah. But it's still a fun prank to play and totally harmless. And Okay, how to make someone laugh. So a prank like that, super fun. Yeah. Now, when we're thinking about pranks, I also think about like magic, and I love magic. So I got to show you a video. Okay, how do magicians trick people? Yep, really cool. So let's see if we can get this up. I know we're just learning so much today. It's awesome. Yep, how do magicians trick people? Let's go.
Hi, Doug.
Hi, Devin.
I have a question for you. How do magicians trick people?
That's a great question. The best kind of magic tricks are the ones that make you go, what? Like, how did this person change a penny to a quarter and then back to a penny again? Watch that again. Or here's one of my favorites. This person seems to float or levitate off the floor. How are they doing that? Now, lots of magic tricks like this are things anyone can do. In fact, we've got a special bonus activity this week where my friends and I here at Mystery Science will show you a trick that you can try out on some of the adults in your life. But how do magic tricks work? Well, it probably won't surprise you that in every great magic trick, you are actually being tricked. In other words, what you think is happening isn't really happening. So then how exactly does a great magic trick us? What's the secret? One of the most common ways magicians trick us is by using what we call the art of distraction. In other words, saying something or showing you something that takes your attention away from what they're really doing. Take this simple example, a ketchup packet in a water bottle. It seems like this person can make the ketchup in the bottle go up or down in the bottle using some kind of invisible force from this hand. But now watch this clip again, this time keeping in mind that it's a trick and the person performing the trick is distracting you. How are they distracting you? What are they doing? See if you can figure it out. And if you've already figured this one out, have a look at the levitating trick again and see if you can figure it out. Now would be a good time to pause the video and discuss.
Okay, I don't know about you guys, but here's what I'm thinking. Okay, the ketchup packet in the bottle, I'm wondering if she's squeezing the bottle. So then it makes it go up and down. Because maybe there's like air in the ketchup and then it floats. I don't know. That's what I'm thinking there. The levitating one is kind of tricking me. But I'm wondering if there's something we can't see. Yeah, I don't know. I got to figure this out. Let's see.
Okay, you ready? The ketchup in a bottle trick is actually a great example of distraction. This person is drawing your attention to this hand, making you think it's this hand that's somehow magically moving the ketchup packet up and down. But meanwhile, that means you're not as likely to notice what's going on with this hand. Watch again. You see that right there? You can notice the person is squeezing this hand ever so slightly on the bottle, pushing water up or down in the bottle as they squeeze, which is really what's causing the ketchup packet to go up and down. A similar thing is going on with the levitation trick. Only instead of distracting you with their hands, this person is distracting you with their feet. They really are lifting their right foot entirely off the ground. But notice how you can't actually see what they're doing over there on their left foot? They've turned their body so that you can't see what's going on with their left foot. If you could, you'd find out that their left foot never fully leaves the ground. Instead, they only lift up their left heel. From your perspective, from where you're looking, this tricks you and makes you think that both feet are somehow magically off the ground. Since so many magic tricks involve distraction, the secret to figuring out how almost any trick works is to observe carefully. Try to notice everything you can. Don't get distracted. It's actually a lot like what a scientist does when they're trying to figure out a tough challenge. Oh, and as for that coin trick you saw earlier, in case you were wondering, how did this magician do this? Well, his name is Jabrizi, and he's got a whole video where he explains how to do it. If you want to check it out, You can find a link at mysteryscience.com/magic. That's all for this week's question. Thanks, Devin, for asking it. Don't forget to check out the special activity my friends and I here at Mystery Science have put together. Now, for the next episode.
All right, that was super cool. Okay, so when people do magic tricks, remember they're trying to distract us. Okay, so always try to see maybe what they're doing, okay, what the other hand is doing or the other foot is doing or someone doing in the background. That was really cool. Now, of course, you know me, right? We need some jokes. Yep, we only have a couple minutes left, so I'm just gonna do a couple jokes. Now, I do love jokes. Okay? They're kind of like pranks in a way, I think. Maybe. I don't know. Okay, so, all right, let's see. What do you give a sick lemon? Lemonade. Okay, that was pretty good. Okay, all right. Let's see. What do you get when you throw a lot of books into the ocean? A tidal wave, because the titles of the books. Maybe it's not as funny if I have to explain it. I don't know. Which is faster, heat or cold? Heat, because you can catch a cold, right? Yeah, maybe. Am I making you guys laugh? I don't know. Okay. All right, I got to do one more. Okay. Let's see. What has 2 legs but can't walk? A pair of pants. Yep. Okay. I know. Pretty good. Okay. All right. How about this? How did Benjamin Franklin feel when he discovered electricity? Shocked, because he got shocked by the electricity. I don't know. Really silly. Really fun, though. Today's science was awesome. I feel like we learned a bunch of different things. All right. I'll see you next time, guys. All right. Bye-bye. Miss you tons.